Okay, we like to begin now. I'm extending a welcome to all of you who made it out here to Robert Gordon University on such a quite balmy autumn's day. We have in the audience today our sponsor, AMEC, Mr. Jason Arkell, who will probably be doing a short talk about the relationship that is going to be developed between Robert Gordon University and AMEC in terms of the quality strategies for business seminars going forward. Also, I'd like to extend a welcome to our colleagues in CQI Hong Kong, as well as colleagues in Nigeria, and my students that are located all over the world. This event is being streamed live here from Robert Gordon University to at least 10 different countries in the globe. Before we begin this session, I'll just like to give you some advice regarding health and safety. If the alarms go off, they are for real, because as far as we are aware, there are no tests planned for today. As soon as you hear the alarm, please go through the exit that is located on my right and proceed directly out to fresh air. Okay, that's housekeeping done. We'll now proceed with the overall intention of this particular seminar. Quality revolution or evolution. This is a topic that is all pervasive right now within the quality management community. Has quality been stagnated, or is it going to evolve? This actual infographic came from Quality World issue December 2013, and it shows the evolution of the role of the quality professional from factory inspector to statistician to munitions quality control during the Second World War, the development of the Toyota production system, which is one of the cornerstones of lean management. Am I not correct, David?
Okay.
As well as the emergence of the business improvement manager, whereby quality professionals are expected to be managers of the system, the business system, quality, safety, the environment. But most recently, CALFA 2014 came up with this concept of the quality S-curve, which shows that on two axes, time and the measure of advancement, it illustrates where quality started, focusing on growth, the development of the Plan, Do, Check, Act methodology, originally postulated by Walter Sheward, later promoted by Dr. Deming. Presently, there's maturity. In essence, quality is taken to be part and parcel of business strategy. The existence of quality directors within large organizations. But are we on a trajectory? Is the profession dying? Is the concept of quality and quality improvement dying? Or is there opportunity to innovate? Are we going to move from evolution to re-evolution? And this is where my speakers, our speakers, they come in. We have in the audience one of my heroes, David Hutchins. He is the author of 9 books, as far as he tells me. One of them being Hush and Cannery. It's considered the de facto Bible on the subject. And we also have a very, very prominent quality management practitioner, Mrs. Jennifer Tait, who happens to be the mom of one of my colleagues, Dr. Elizabeth Tait. She's been practicing for quite a while within the NHS. We did promote the event to also have a speaker from EDP Renewables, but due to family commitments, Mr. John Yorston, is unable to attend. So you guys have me as the third and final speaker. Okay, so I don't know, Jason, do you want to do a small talk on the relationship between AMEC and Robert Gordon University, or you want to wait until the end?
Whatever your preference is. I don't mind saying a few words just now if you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll have Mr. Jason Arkell from AMEC telling us what the relationship is between Robert Gordon University and AMEC, and as well as what plans we have for the future.
Hi guys, how's doing? So, as Lowellyne says, I'm Head of Business Improvement, which is a new role I've taken on 2 months ago at AMEC, as well as looking after the quality management function. We're doing that for 3 years now. How did we end up here? I guess 2 years ago, sort of really had to increase the quality professionals within my function in the business, as we kind of looked to change what quality was and how quality was perceived there. Grew the quality professionals from six guys that I inherited to a function of around 100. With that, also recognised that really it's quite a aged industry that I was working in, and kind of to look to the future, we need fresh, young, enthusiastic talent coming through. And what we ended up doing at AMEC was engaging with CQI to come up with an actual programme for graduate trainees to come out with a recognised diploma, so a formal qualification. From discussions around that led us to go on to basically get CQI accreditation, first oil and gas company to do so, and that was just Q1 this year, end of Q1 I think. Yeah, first quarter this year. So it's still kind of early days there, but for us going forward, we're really looking for a good strong partnership with CQI to move our business forward. And just, I guess, Q3, we attended effectively a round table in London. So a couple of my quality managers went down there and started to engage with a lot of other members from the institute, as well as other companies. And now going into Q4, we're setting up some benchmarking opportunities to look at improvements going forward with the likes of Jaguar Land Rover, BAE Systems. So just to see what's different and fresh out there going on in the quality profession. And I guess back to RGU, really going forward, what we're after is, yeah, I want the best students coming out of the university, whether it's their MSCs or whatever, with enthusiasm and drive to come and work for AMEC, because I think we've got a cracking scheme and a cracking place for people to work and develop and carve out a long-term career there. And there's a lot of opportunities. So I guess that's roughly where we are just now, and it's all about how we go forward. So I guess that's probably enough from me.
Okay, Jason.
Okay.
Without any further delay, I'd like to invite Ms. Jennifer Tait to do her presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jenny Tait. I'm the NHS Grampian Quality Manager. And I'm going to just give you a short talk this afternoon on the quality strategy for the NHS Grampian Medical Laboratories. In May 2010, the Scottish Government produced a healthcare quality strategy for NHS Scotland. The aim of this is to deliver the highest quality healthcare services to people in Scotland, and through this to ensure that NHS Scotland is recognised by the people of Scotland as amongst the best in the world. So what is this quality strategy? In December 2007, the Better Health, Better Care Action Plan made a series of commitments to improve the health of everyone in Scotland and to improve the quality of healthcare and healthcare experience. And the quality strategy is a development of this better health, better care, which built on improvements in patient waiting times, approach to healthcare associated infection, and importantly, patient safety. So the quality strategy is about three things. It's about putting people at the heart of the NHS, and it will mean our NHS will listen to people's views, gather information about their perceptions and personal experience of care, and use that information to further improve care. Now, in practice, what does this mean for the NHS Grampian Laboratories? Well, we've got a regular newsletter. So we produce every other month a newsletter for primary care, that's the GP practices, and secondary care, our hospitals. We've got an intranet site which we can regularly update, and we've got feedback mechanisms to ensure that any feedback from patients or members of staff are listened to and acted upon, and we've got a user survey. Now, I must admit, I'm sure that everyone here has taken part in surveys, and there's a groan, oh not again, into my email inbox has come a survey. We've found that this is the least popular way of getting information back. Despite using SurveyMonkey or anything, we find sometimes we get a very poor return. The quality strategy is also about building on the values of the people working in and with NHS Scotland and their commitment to providing the best possible care and advice compassionately and reliably by making the right thing easier to do for every person every time. And how can this translate to the laboratories? Well, we interpret this as we must ensure any test is from the correct patient. You might think that a little bit strange, me putting that down, but it won't be the first time we've received an urgent phone call from a clinician to say that sample that I sent from John Smith is actually from Mary Brown. The correct sample type. Again, we've had experiences where a clinician has used a certain tube with an anticoagulant in it, looked up the website and found, oh no, it should be something else, tipped it out, put it into the tube, sent it to the lab, and we've wondered why we've had the most strange results. Correct clinical information. How many times we've received requests for tests and it said post-op or pre-op, and it's something completely different, or they've forgotten to tell us the patient's been transfused. We want to be able to analyse our samples promptly with trained staff using appropriate equipment, and the result being produced which is timely and informative. The system that we want to work with is right first time, every time, as I'm sure you've heard umpteen times with quality. What else is it? It's about making measurable improvement in the aspects of quality of care that patients, their families and carers, and those providing healthcare services see as really important. For laboratories, turnaround time is important for core samples coming from accident and emergency. The Scottish Government have a heat target for accident and emergency and the acute admissions, that no patient should wait any longer than 4 hours on admission from the time they go to the front door of accident and emergency. The stopwatch starts ticking. The government have said 4 hours. The patient either is discharged or gets admitted to a ward. And how does that translate to laboratories? Well, haematology and clinical biochemistry have been given targets of 60 minutes to have samples arriving, processed and reported. Now that seems quite a long time, but it's not, because, for instance, there's a problem. The laboratories are situated a quarter of a mile away from the accident and emergency centre. So to try and improve and speed things up, they've introduced a pneumatic shuttle system. So the sample goes into the tube, whizzes along and goes to the laboratory. Now, clinical biochemistry use serum, and that means a sample has to clot, and that can take half an hour. So already we're not able to provide that 60-minute turnaround time, and we've agreed with the government that we can extend that to 90 minutes. And again, we have got no control over how long it takes for that sample to arrive in the laboratory, and it could be that the pneumatic shuttle's not working and we require a porter to come along and deliver the sample. Now that porter could be walking along the corridor, the main corridor of Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. He's wearing a uniform, and suddenly somebody will stop him and say, "Where do I go to ward X?" Or, "I've got something else to deliver, can you help me?" So we've got no control. Something that a lot of people don't realise either is 80% of a patient pathway involves at some stage laboratory tests, either for pre-assessment, for investigations, or for monitoring of treatment, such as patients on warfarin therapy. We're the hidden group. If somebody asks me, "Oh, you work in the hospital, you must be a nurse, or you might be a radiographer." No, when I say I work in the laboratories, "Oh, so what do you do?" Now, the Institute of Medicine's 6 dimensions of quality is where we take our quality improvement from. Person-centred, that's providing care that is responsive to individual personal preferences, needs and values, and assuring that patient values guide all clinical decisions. Safe, avoiding injuries to patients from healthcare that is intended to help them. You might wonder what on earth that means. Coming into a hospital, surely to goodness you would be safe. But if somebody cross-matches blood, and instead of you know that you're blood group A and you're given blood group B, it certainly won't be safe. You could have a transfusion reaction. Effective, providing services based on scientific knowledge. Quite often what we'll find in laboratories is that we'll get requests for exotic tests. Clinicians maybe have been influenced by drug companies coming along. This new kit will produce wonderful results, quick and efficient. But what about the cost to the laboratories? To maybe introduce that new particular test might involve purchasing new equipment or retraining staff. And it might well be that we will get a result back, but not able to interpret it scientifically. So efficient, we must try and avoid waste, including waste of equipment, supplies, ideas and energy. Equitable, providing care that does not vary in quality because of personal characteristics such as gender, ethnicity, geographic location or socio-economic status. And this is something I'm extremely proud of at Aberdeen Royal Infirmary and NHS Grampian. Regardless of who comes through our doors, they're treated completely equally. We have tests from members of the royal family to patients found unconscious with no name in the streets of Union Street. Everyone is treated in the same fair manner. Timely as well. As I've already mentioned, what we're trying to do is reduce weight, and sometimes that can be harmful delays for both those who receive care and those who give care. We do make sure that we try and keep to our turnaround times. This is just a little graphic here of Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. The laboratories are situated in the Link building, and we've also got a satellite laboratory at Dr. Gray's Hospital in Elgin. We comprise of medical units of clinical biochemistry, immunology, haematology, medical genetics, which includes cytogenetics and molecular genetics, pathology, which includes cytopathology, histopathology, and the mortuary. We provide a comprehensive laboratory medicine for the population of the northeast of Scotland, Orkney and Shetland via the local hospital and primary care service structure. The catchment population served directly totals 583,000, but we also have a super-regional specialist service provided to Highland Region, Orkney and Shetland. Quite a lot of the laboratories are centres of excellence, so when laboratories are unable to provide a certain test, they can be referred to Aberdeen Royal Infirmary. For instance, in haematology, we are the Haemophiliac Specialist Centre for the North East. In addition to its primary role of providing diagnostic laboratory services, the unit is actively involved in providing direct patient care in a number of specialist areas. So, for instance, the biochemistry department provide advice for patients on TPN therapy, and we also have a section of immunology that provides a direct service for allergies. Importantly, teaching of medicine and science at the Aberdeen and Robert Gordon universities at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. And we're very proud to be associated with RGU for our integrated degree in biomedical science. We worked hand in hand with the university so that we've got a tailor-made course. Students come in years 2 and 3 on placement, and this is an ideal opportunity for recruitment as well. The vast majority of our new graduates from Robert Gordon's have found employment at the Aberdeen Royal Infirmary hospitals or in the North East. Again, we have ongoing professional education and development of all healthcare professions locally, and research and development within the laboratory medicine and all allied areas of medicine and scientific practice. We take part in a lot of clinical trials and have attracted worldwide reputation for our research. And we also conduct audits of laboratory and clinical practice. So who exactly are we? Well, as I say, so many people know nothing about the laboratories. We employ in excess of 400 staff, biomedical scientists, clinical scientists, medical, technical and administrative staffs. Biomedical scientists and clinical scientists are protected titles. We are HCPC registered. Our medical staff are GMC registered. And we have a total current net pay and non-pay of expenditure of £22.6 million. We take part in KEO benchmarking, which helps identify our strengths and weaknesses. And you might be surprised to hear that last year we received in excess of 3 million test requests. 3 million. By no means are Aberdeen a backwater when it comes to health. The core laboratories work on a 24-hour shift system to cope with the workload. We're very much demand-led. So the strengths of the laboratory medicine unit are exemplified by the calibre of the staff and their commitment to provide and develop the services provided by the unit, the functionally integrated nature of all the laboratory disciplines, the demonstrable efficient and economical nature of the service, consultant-led services in all specialities. But what I must say as well, consultant, yes, you might think medical consultant, but now we've got consultant biomedical scientists and clinical scientists. So the glass ceiling has been lifted for all members of staff. And we've a commitment to compliance with externally defined and audited standards of practice. So getting back to quality. Quality should always be the first priority in any laboratory. As we've heard from Lowellyne, it's certainly not a new concept. Craftsmen designed, produced and sold their own goods. With the Industrial Revolution there was mass production, and F.W. Taylor promoted scientific management systems. The laboratories are catching up with this. I don't mean to say that we haven't always dealt with quality. Of course quality has come first, but we now have to prove it. So a good definition of quality for medical laboratories is all the features and characteristics of a product or service that bear on its ability to satisfy stated or implied needs. Quality is a complex notion and means different things to different people. It's a degree to which a set of inherited characteristics fulfills requirements, but it's not to be mistaken for degree of excellence or fitness for purpose, which meets only part of the definition. So what does quality have to do with medical laboratories? Well, absolutely everything. Quality management systems ensure that everything we do meets the required standards, and by meeting these standards we meet the requirements of our users. Our quality management system provides the integration of organisational structure, process, procedures and resources needed to fulfil a quality policy, and by this it meets the needs and requirements of users. Now, many of our suppliers that we use have ISO 9001-2008, which is demonstration of their quality management system, or testing laboratories have ISO 17025 accreditation as their gold standard. So it's very important that we are shown to ensure that we use suppliers that have got accreditation as well. So exactly who are our users? NHS Grampian, other health boards such as Orkney and Shetland or Highland, private hospitals and clinics, primary care, and primary care are our GP practices, and patients themselves. What are their needs? Well, they want easy access to information and services, so we've produced our handbook now is on the intranet site, because as we're all aware, the moment you commit something to a handbook, it goes out of print. So we've got facilities to easily update. A wide repertoire of tests. We're a centre of excellence. Reliable transport systems. We employ a courier service for our primary care, and by that we have set times that they go and pick up the samples, a very narrow window, all audited with GPS systems as well. And we also use NHS Grampian transport for our internals AIM transport for secondary care. Efficiency. It speaks for itself. That's what our users require. What they don't want is samples being sent to the lab in the best possible way, transported safely, securely, and it arrives and we wait and then decide, oh well, we may as well analyse these samples. It has to be done efficiently. Easily accessed results. Years ago we used to put all our results out in paper form. Good idea, you think, but if you've got 2,000 or 3,000 paper results that are going into pigeonholes and that are going to be posted to GPs or go back to the wards, you can imagine how easy it is to misplace, put them in the wrong file, or when the results come back, it used to be that the ward receptionists or the GP staff would file the results in patients' notes. MAC, MC, easy to make a mistake. A father and son, same name, same address, different date of birth, and maybe that they were told, phone back in a week for your laboratory result. They would phone up, receptionists would go and look at the notes. Sorry, there's nothing there. Oh, the lab must have lost your results. No, what had happened there with the paper copies of reports, they'd been misfiled. How have we had quality improvement there? We now have electronic reports. Far better, far easier, but they're all secure as well. We've got to make sure that there's systems in place so that only the correct people access your results. What else do our users need? They need reassurance of the laboratory's accreditation status. They want to be satisfied that they are sending their patient samples, precious samples that a patient might be anxious about, that it's going to a laboratory where it's treated with care. So again, what's our benefit of a quality management system? Well, it meets the customer's expectations, it improves process control, it reduces risk, it reduces cost, waste, facilitates training, involves staff and raises morale. And who makes sure we get it right? Well, the laboratories have got at least 2 accreditation bodies: UCAS, United Kingdom Accreditation, MHRA, that's Medicines and Health Regulatory Authority, quality managers such as myself, that is my job, and I've got quality coordinators in each department, but also laboratory staff. It's not me working on my own. Each member of staff, regardless of grade, has to make sure that we get it right. So what systems do we use to ensure quality is maintained? We use internal quality control, so before any laboratory results are released, we make sure that the systems are correct. We use external quality assurance, which is a snapshot on the day it's treated. A sample comes in from an accreditation society, and we treat it as if it was another patient, make sure that it's correct, and then we're peer assessed as well. We use audit, we use user surveys, and again, some examples of our external accreditation: CPA, UCAS, MHRA, HTA, which is the Human Tissue Authority, and JC, which is used for blood transfusion transplants. So what's accreditation? Well, this is a useful definition for the laboratories. Professional and national recognition reserved for facilities that provide quality health care. This means that the particular healthcare facility has voluntarily sought to be measured against high professional standards and is in substantial compliance with them. Now, this is an interesting fact that as from 2004, it has been mandatory for all medical laboratories in Scotland, regardless if they're in the public or private sector, to be registered with an accreditation body. Registered, but not necessarily fully compliant. 2004, but health, what about England and the rest of the UK? Health has devolved. So NHS, the Scottish Government, were actually ahead of their times. But why did we want to have this? To allay public concerns about samples being misinterpreted by inexperienced or unqualified staff. You only ever hear about the laboratories, really, when it's bad news, not good news. Concerns about inappropriate specimen retention. Well, very unfortunately, I'm sure most of you have heard of Alder Hey when samples were retained. Concerns about bad press publicity where facts couldn't be verified. There isn't a day goes by in some newspaper that you hear horror stories. I hear to allay fears, that is by it doesn't really happen. So our main accreditation body is UCAS, the United Kingdom Accreditation Service. It's recognised by the government as a national accreditation body in the UK. It's a signatory of international mutual recognition agreements on behalf of the United Kingdom. It assesses for compliance against the criteria of competence, and it uses international standards. Previously, the laboratories were accredited by Clinical Pathology Accreditation, and this is now a wholly owned subsidiary of UCAS. The standards that they use in the laboratory is ISO 15189, and these are actually an ISO standard has to be bought. Previously, the standard that we used in CPA, you could download it off the website, but these standards now to buy, £120 copyright. So this is just I'm not going to go into all the details, but this is just part of the ISO standard, divided into two sections: management requirements, and these are all with 36 clauses and sub-clauses, and we've got technical requirements. And all of these form together to form what we've got to do. So for instance, a user, somebody will go along to their GP feeling very tired, and the GP might say, right, we'll take a blood test just to check that you're not anemic. So the request goes into the lab, but prior to that we have got procedures in place so that the GP knows what, if they refer it to the phlebotomist, what tube is required, patient details. It then is transported to the lab, it arrives, it's checked for compliance, it's analysed and processed, the result is verified, and then the report goes to the user. They're either satisfied with that result or not. But in the background, we've got all these ISO standards that we've got to use to ensure our quality management system. It's a continual process, like the PD, the Plan, Do, Act, continually cycle. We've had to catch up fast because the regulations that we were used to with CPA have now changed. And all of a sudden we've got staff suggestions. Now that might seem a little bit odd, but before, yes, we listened to what staff actually wanted to do, but now if we've got a staff suggestion, we've got to make a formal note of it and document it and look at what the request is and either say yes, it might be something very simple, we can implement that, or no, I'm sorry, it's going to take maybe a business plan and have to reject it just now, but look at it later on. Information management, that's been quite a big thing for us. What we have to do now is check that any of our analysers, the interfaces that we use, there's no corruption of results coming from the equipment itself, the analyser, to our LIMS system. We've got to check all our software updates. We've got to make sure that the results that our users see, there's no change from what we're seeing in our system as well. So the rationale behind our new standard is that individual components of the standard are not assessed in isolation. Elements are linked together and will be assessed as such, so we're linking together staff competence, test assurance, measurement of uncertainty and validation. We're looking at purchasing. We've got everything has got to be fit for purpose. We're looking at the equipment itself. Before it comes in, we've got to verify it, test assurance and responsibilities. It's a new holistic assessment and designed to facilitate continual improvement. But however, it's not a new concept. So the summary of the new change, its changes are in specific areas but impact on the whole standard. Different types of changes, there's new standards and there's revised expectations. The performance should be evaluated at management review and including review of suppliers. So I can't just go, if I want a new piece of equipment, I can't look up a catalogue and say, oh, I like the look of that, or that's a lovely fridge, I would like a purple coloured fridge. Everything has to be checked. I've got to check my supplier, make sure they're ISO accredited. Then when the piece of equipment comes in, I've got to make sure it's validated and verified before I introduce it. Health and safety assessments don't feature so much in this new standard, but is part and parcel of laboratory work. And the objective evidence is critical. So what's happened this year in the laboratories? Well, during 2014, all 6 departments have had a dual assessment for CPA and transition to this new standard. It's been a huge amount of work. But I'm very, very proud to say that the pathology department is the first in Scotland to achieve this new standard. And the other departments are in the process of completing their non-conformances. Aberdeen is really, it's a gold standard to be proud of. What I would just like to finish by saying is that I've worked 40 years in the laboratory. I'm very proud of NHS Grampian Laboratories. We very much embrace quality as a strategy and hope to move forward. And thank you very much for listening.